Hi, it's Alex Counts again, and in this video I'll be talking again about nonprofit governance, about how to put together a great board of directors for a nonprofit. My last video I talked about some of the pitfalls and how a board can become dysfunctional and how many of them are. But in these next couple of videos I'm going to talk about how do you avoid that trap. How do you have your board be a high-performing, high-functioning board that adds a lot of value to your organization and its mission. In the next video I'm going to talk about some ideas I have that aren't widely accepted, but in this one I'm going to talk about some widely accepted strategies for having a board work well, but that doesn't mean they're widely practiced. These take a lot of discipline that a lot of nonprofits don't really have. So let's go into them. But first of all, I just want to remind you something I made in my last video, a point I made in my last video, which is if you want a board to significantly improve, it's not going to take 2 or 3 months, even if you do some of the things I talk about. It's going to take 3, 4, 5 years. So don't rush the process. Don't get discouraged if it doesn't show results quickly. But first of all, I'd say if I'm thinking about how do I have a board member be a high-performing board member, I want to have every single one of them have every interaction they have with the organization to be a quality interaction. Quality interaction, I mean that they feel useful. You actually give them something to do and they accomplish it and they feel like they're adding value. You want to make sure they feel respected, valued, understood. By understood, I mean if they have certain preferences, ways that they like to interact with organizations like yours, you try to meet them where they're at. Show that you've heard them and you've adapted your strategy to their preferences. That'll make a big difference. And if ever there is a low quality interaction, something goes wrong in the relationship, then you take steps immediately to fix it, to tell them that that you understand that a mistake was made on your part or the part of the organization, and that you're going to fix it as best you can and avoid it in the future. Okay, and that'll happen from time to time. A good functioning board, the relationship between the chair and the CEO is extremely important. I've actually written something for the Chronicle of Philanthropy on this that unfortunately isn't available to non-subscribers, but if you get in touch with me, I'll find a way to have you read it. But basically, that relationship is super important, that the chair is respected by the members and by the CEO, and it plays a crucial role of liaison to make sure that the staff, led by the CEO, and the board interface in a productive way. The role of vice chairs can also be important in backing up the chair, balancing in terms of gender or perspective or political ideology or approach to nonprofit management. But I don't think a vice chair necessarily needs to be the chair-elect. Let the vice chair perform in that role so well that everyone wants them to become the next chair, but don't necessarily be automatic. I think that a staff that gets suggestions from a board in the course of a meeting or other interactions, committee meetings, they should absolutely report back in the future about every suggestion made, what they did with it, whether they adopted it or not, and especially if not, why. Doesn't mean they have to follow every recommendation. Some of them don't make sense. Some of them aren't timely. But none of them should get lost. If a board member makes a suggestion, there should be reporting back. We studied it. We're implementing it, we're not implementing it, we're going to look at it again in a year. That shows that, again, is valuing board members. Boards should be diverse, and not just ethnically and racially and by gender, those very important, but also in terms of work styles, in terms of perspectives, in terms of industries people come from. Like one of my colleagues in microfinance said also, if you're trying to bring diversity, 1 person is a token, 2 is a cabal, and 3 is where you get meaningful representation of a group that's been traditionally not involved. So don't just stop at a single person who brings diversity. Add a couple more that are similar to them, and then you're really going to get the most value of it. Committees are important for boards, both the standing committees like governance and audit, but also so you might put together some kind of committees that are more thematic. Look at special aspects of your programs, for example, or study a strategic planning committee that might only exist for a year as you're putting together a new strategy. And lastly, with the board, give board members a chance to take on special projects that are maybe in their area of expertise or an interest area, and let them be a champion of a project, work maybe side by side with a staff member, and as a result have something that they really feel good about accomplishing on your board. And if you do that one by one, and it'll be different things. For some it might be they're a really good writer, so you ask them to publish things in journals that normally staff would do, but you're asking them to do as a special thing. And again, that goes back to them feeling useful. So these are some widely accepted practices, but it doesn't mean that most people, most boards and most CEOs use them. And in my next video, I'll talk about someone that are less well recognized, but I still think are very important. Good luck.